Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
How
I
are
just
you?
changed my microphone, so it's I had to do a quick setup since I lost my old one. It was kind of a unfortunate scenario, I guess. I don't know where it went. I cleaned up my room yesterday because we're moving and it's gone, so I had to use my Rode mic.
Well, okay, good. Good. Well, you're coming in quite clearly, and that's
Yeah, my
good to know.
dad gave me his old microphone, and a lot of people say my other one is just better, so I'm just using this for a precaution at the moment.
Thanks, Dad. Thank you, Dad, for the microphone.
Exactly, exactly.
Dads are good. They're good for things.
Yes. Well, first off, thank you for taking the interview with me.
Oh, my pleasure, Thomas. It's great to know that there's somebody out there who is listening. So shoot
Yeah,
away. You have questions, or
yeah.
be
So
glad to answer
it's I'll
your
just say
questions.
it's kind of a casual chat. I've got a kind of a script up of a couple of things, but pretty much quite casual, just talking
Okay.
about your experiences and all that.
All right.
Um,
All right.
yeah. So if you're wondering, you're not like the last person I tried to contact. You were one of the first. Just if it seems
Oh,
like I
wonderful.
contacted people before, you were one of the first on my list because I love Dead Storm Pirates. Have you ever
Dead Stone.
seen? Have you ever seen the gameplay from that? Because I know you
I have
do
not.
play one of the pivotal characters in it.
Could you tell me what character that is on Dead Stone?
I
Do you
will
know
I
that?
will grab them up. I've got everything up here.
Because I just go in,
Oh yeah,
I do
one
the
hundred
voice,
percent. There's
and I
questions
leave.
coming up that's relevant to that. Yeah. It's called Heath Gilbert.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Heath Gilbert.
Yeah. He's one of like the
Yeah,
pirate type characters, and I'll probably
yeah,
swap to a question right now, which is relevant to that. So,
okay.
in a couple of interviews I've seen in the past, they've commented on the fact that when they've been given like roles and you go into like a studio, you record for them, sometimes people
Hmm.
get images of characters, some people get like it really depends on what type of game. If they're doing a voiceover for already something that's in Japanese or they're being the predominant
Yes.
voice. Yeah, it depends if the development's further ahead or how
Hmm.
it's working. For example, for the majority of your roles, probably I'm talking early 2000s and kind of way back then, what was
Yeah.
kind of the most common thing that they would present to you? Would they present to you like
Okay.
a
Pretty
script
much what you
or
said. They'll give you usually never a script until you're hired for the
yeah,
job. But once you're hired, uh, they'll give you an image,
yeah,
and then might have like a little short, brief
mm,
description of what the character is like, and then you, as the voice actor, use your imagination as to what you think that would entail,
yeah,
and then you give them your, what an acting teacher used to call, give them your fastball, which is what you do best,
yeah,
you know. So I've got a range of voices, and a lot of work that I have gotten in since the 2000s,
yeah,
or even in the late 90s, is the movie guy voice.
yeah?
and,
I think you said you like to play monsters, if I'm not wrong.
and monsters.
Yeah,
But yeah, I love. I mean, it's just, you just access your inner child on these
yeah,
jobs, and it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. And but getting back to what I was saying, they'll give you like maybe an illustration
yeah, yeah,
of the character, and then a brief description of the character, and then once you get into the booth, you might do a few passes on
yeah,
the script, and the director will say, "Oh, that's good," or "Can we have it more
mm,
like this or more like that?" And that's kind of how it goes. And once you're hired, then you'll get a script.
yeah,
They'll send that to you, and then you can look over that. And then you get into the studio, and then you have to be, loose and
mm,
and willing to take direction. But many times, if you have an idea, they like it. They've
yeah, yeah,
hired you
yeah,
because twice, and then the more you do this work, the more, more flexible and more
mm,
relaxed behind the mic you can be. But in the beginning, it's, you have to deal with, oh God, I'm behind the mic, and
yeah, yeah.
tension that you didn't have when you were at home arise. So it's, the more experience you have, the better at it you become, and then the more fun you can have, and then the collaboration,
Yep, yep.
is a little, it grows in the job, and so that's kind of
Yeah,
how it works.
because yeah, one of the voice actors for one of the other games that we like basically said that in an interview with someone else ages ago that the game was so like far back in development that he got given a sketch of his character and just told to do a voice off of just what they would think that they would sound like. So
a rough
it's
drawing.
always
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
always unique to know like what's the most common thing. And I think a lot of people just say, it's an image that you get given. You might get given a
Hmm.
short cutscene or a short movie just to kind of say,
Yeah,
this is what they do. And then like
that's
I
right.
think
That's right.
probably going off of this next point that I've got here, in terms of your roles overall, how much influence do you have on them? Like, can you say to the person, like, I think I can do this type of voice, or
Oh, yeah, you can
what
do
kind
that.
of, yeah.
And it's also a case by case
Yeah,
situation with
of course.
whoever the director is.
Yeah,
But they always appreciate, somebody's creative input.
yeah.
And one thing I think is important, at least on my end of the microphone, is the willingness for the actor to, take the direction. Some actors uh, resent, being told
Mm.
what to do, and not necessarily in these character game voices, but like if you go to a dubbing,
Yeah, yeah.
you're doing a documentary, and they just resent, which I think is ridiculous. It's collaboration, and you
Exactly.
should be agreeable. It's agreement to me is the most in anything you do. Agreement. Don't get all bent out of shape because somebody told you to do it a different way. But how did I get onto this point? Yes, it depends on the director
Yeah,
too.
yeah, of course.
But usually with characters of like what we're talking game characters,
Yes.
the people there really know what they want. They're very
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
specific, which is great. I mean, I love to have a director who's
I mean, it's
knows
easy and simple.
but also gives good specific
Yeah.
directions. Whereas sometimes you'll go into another, maybe a dubbing, and the director really doesn't know what they want, so you have to bring it, and then they go, oh, okay. So, but I find that mostly in the game the game animations, they know what they want. They
Yeah,
know
yeah.
the games. They're maybe gamers themselves, and they have a passion for gaming, so they know what they want. And a lot of times, in the studio, there'll be maybe a Japanese, where I'm in,
Hmm.
Japanese director, and then there'll be someone from the company itself
Yeah.
who is there, really knows the nuts and bolts of the game, and they'll be in the studio, sort of translating back and forth, and then you'll get filtered through
Yeah.
the information. But I appreciate any direction, particularly when
Hmm.
it is specific direction rather than bigger, louder, stronger. No, come on, give me something that I can. But if you get that sort of
Yeah.
vague direction, you have to use your own judgment and use your own creativity, and usually it works out.
Yeah, kind of
So
yeah.
yeah,
Going off of
yeah.
that a little bit. And this is probably a difficult question, and you probably could just write this off if you don't want to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think makes a character? The writing or the voice behind it?
Let me think. I see. That's from a standpoint of someone who plays the games more than the actor
Yeah,
himself.
because there's a lot of games which have completely terrible writing, but have
Yeah,
really good
well,
voice actors, which has
that is
influenced
true.
their likeness. And
I would
it's
say then
yeah,
more. I would say it's more voice oriented
yep,
for what you bring, because it's the quality of the voice, and it's the nuance of the voice that creates the what is planted into the imagination of the
yep,
player. So you can kind of fix a bad script with your, how passionately you do the
yep.
role, or the. I think that a lot of it relies on the voice. Um, but that said, good writing is also a wonderful thing to have.
Yes, yeah.
When you're doing you're doing a job.
Yeah. I was just kind of, you can kind of guide yourself into this. So, kind of the question goes: looking for your other like shared works with other voice actors, you have had multiple different roles in, like, for example, it kind of seems you're in a group. So at least between, I think we gauged it at 2000 to like maybe 2012, 2015. It seems like you
Oh,
shared quite a few similar games with a lot of other voice actors. So it seemed like there
Yes.
was a large group, and I think someone else commented, this must have been years ago, that in Japan, kind of every other English voice actor would have known each other, and that was out of a game called Shenmue, which had a huge cast
Uh,
of English
yeah,
voices.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's You're right. There, it was a big cattle call on that one, but there are actors here that have been here for decades
yeah,
that have been doing it. So you kind of get to know these people,
hmm.
and then they become known by the clients.
Yeah,
And a lot of the way you get hooked up to a job is through an agency.
yeah,
So there are talent agencies that handle the voice actors and on camera people, commercial advertising. There are agencies that we all register with,
hmm.
and then you sort of, there are people that have been here for many years, so you get to recognize them, and the good ones are the ones that are usually called in for this, like Shenmue or
Yeah.
any of these jobs.
Like, do you know roughly when? This is probably teaming your brain a bit, but do you know when that group might have come together at some point, or
Okay,
the agency kind of grabbed
it's not a
everybody?
group that has come together. It's not like we all belong to a group,
Yeah,
but we
more a
just
talent
have,
agency overall. Like,
yeah, the agents,
yeah,
and there are many of them.
yeah,
One thing about Tokyo is that you can be multi-listed with several companies
that
rather
makes
than one.
sense. That adds a lot of detail to a couple things I found online.
Right. So rather than be exclusive with one agency, it's to the benefit of the actor to be
Yeah.
multi-listed, and then it's a bigger net for
Yes.
you, and so you'll get more opportunities. And so there's not really necessarily a specific group that
Yeah, probably a
that
poor choice of words,
represented
but
in one. Well, not really. I mean, it's
I've kind of
I understand.
generalized it in a way. I know it's talent agencies and stuff, and I obviously realized, of course, jobs and other stuff. It was just one of those things which was, if I kind of use the word group, it was kind of closer because I've seen so many people just do the same games all together.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. So
just,
there's a
yeah,
pool of good narrators that have very good voices and are very good in the
yeah,
studio because they have a lot of experience. So they will be called, and they are well known by the agencies, and then they are um, uh, sent to the jobs, or their voice samples. Here's how it works: the client will approach an agency with a job, saying we need blah blah blah, we need this
yeah.
voice, this voice, this voice. Then the agency will submit the voice sample to the client.
Hmm.
Client then will choose that voice, and then that's how the job is obtained.
Yeah.
And then again, like for instance, I was mentioning, I was called back to do the same job that I did like a year or so
Yeah.
ago, the one with the guy that was over directing.
Hmm.
But one thing that I was pointing out before we got onto this topic was that in Japan, it's in sort of woven into the societies, the group mentality. And so you'll go to a job occasionally, not all the time, but sometimes a job. And in the studio will be the director, the producer, and maybe 5 or 6 representatives of the company. All in there, what you might call them the suits. And they're all
Bit
in
of
there.
stress.
Yeah, suits. And they don't really necessarily know, what they're doing or saying, but they have to be there representing
Yeah.
the company. And it's a good and a bad thing. I mean, too many suits that don't, they feel like they have to express an opinion,
Hmm.
so they might say, really irrelevant. Or on the other side of the coin, I think a lot of people have home studios, and and they can work from home,
Hmm.
and so you're eliminating that need to be in the studio in some parts of the world, but not in Japan. So I mean, I haven't worked outside of Japan in a long time, but I feel
Yeah.
that it's a good thing to have that wanting to have a personal interest in the job.
Yeah.
So that to me is a good thing, and that's what I mean by the group
Oh, yeah, that makes
mentality,
more sense, yeah.
Japanese sort of societal point of view.
Hmm.
A group of people collaborating and giving in their ideas and
Yeah.
opinions. So that's what I sort of meant when I was
Oh
talking about
yeah,
the
yeah,
group.
mate, yeah,
And I think your point was a little different. Was about just the narrators themselves, but the narrators here are also a very tight knit group,
yeah,
and fraternize one another. They know each other. They identify themselves as a narrator. I am a narrator. I do
yeah.
narration. So that's kind of how that goes. That's what they
Yeah.
do as they're a professional
Yeah,
narrator.
because a bunch of games, like we were saying at the beginning with the uncrediting of voice actors, a bunch of
Yeah.
games have only been discovered of the like voice teams as we call them over here, the groups
Okay.
that make up the voice acting, like all the voices. A bunch of them have
Hmm.
only been discovered off of that, off of saying, okay, these guys have worked together in the past. Maybe the talent agent has put them together and found this role was good for them. Like,
Hmm.
because in a lot of anime or animation, that
Yeah.
was done in the 80s and 90s when it was very primitive in the dubbing industry, from what I
Oh
at
yes.
least heard from my minimal research ages ago.
Hmm.
It was quite primitive, so they'll kind of just get these teams together and then they would just fit whatever role would work because there was not much
Yeah.
variety.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. And then it might all sound very much the
Yeah.
same. Um, yeah, that's interesting. Anime it's a great work too. You get
Hmm.
a nice character, and you can really flesh it out
Yeah.
because animes are sometimes they're very long,
Hmm.
stories,
Yes.
and you might occur in a lot of scenes, and you can develop. It's a very good for an actor. For me, as an actor, you can find nuance and arc
Hmm.
to the character much more than possibly a game where
Yeah.
you're just doing not quite as much. As far as development of characters, sort
Yeah.
of the character is what it is, and the situation is what it is. But with those anime ones, they're sort of more acting jobs,
Yeah.
as far as I would mean, performing a character
Hmm.
and having some sort of development of the character.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
So
it's just one of those things in which people have found out like who exactly has been behind because they've used kind of common rationality and said, okay, if this person has kind of confirmed that they've worked on it, then it would only make sense. And then they've gone to the person and they've come back and said, oh yeah, we worked together on this, this, and this. And then
yeah,
it's kind of the same
yeah.
situation with, for example, if you were uncredited in something, and then I came to you and
Hmm.
said, hey, Ryan says, you could be in this. Are you actually in it? That's
Yeah,
what the
guys.
yeah.
So you're sort of you're on a journey of discovery.
Yeah, but
Who's
it's a journey of discovery for a lot of games that I'm currently on at the moment. But also, I also just want to learn like the industry from different people. I
okay?
find it very interesting,
Yeah.
learning from different people's perspectives. And of course, I've only really interviewed newer voice actors, so seeing people that are more veterans to the industry, or at least have had their foot in for years now. It's one of those things
Yes.
which is quite unique. You asked
Right.
them before. So one of my key questions, which I'll ask quickly now, is: has there
Hmm.
been anything that like you? So have you done interviews in the past? I'll start off with that. Have you
Um,
done many in the past?
Not many. No, haven't done many.
Okay. Is there
Uh,
any that you would have expected? Any questions that you would have expected to be asked already that you haven't? Like anything particular, a particular role or an experience?
no, not really, because um, I've not really done a lot of
Yeah.
interviews for the voice thing. I've done interviews for stage work
Yeah.
and TV film work, but not many. Again,
Yeah. I was
another
very
thing is
surprised when you're looking at your page. I was quite impressed that you've done all that.
basically I studied acting, and I went to acting school in the States before I came here, wanting to be an actor. And anyway, that was where my roots are.
Yeah.
And voice acting is an offshoot of the acting work, the stage and film and stuff. That is my passion to do that. That's what I always wanted to do. But that said, voice acting is a wonderful um, It's a wonderful thing to do. It's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and it's very creative. Let me see, what was I trying to answer? Now, I haven't had too many
Yeah.
interviews for voice acting. I think you might be the very first one actually that's specifically about voice acting.
That's
But
it's an honor.
it's my honor as well. I appreciate being, that there's people out there that are listening and connecting my name with the voices.
um, I mean, I could probably go in and ask something about, one of your roles, but you probably wouldn't know much about that particular one. So, kind of in
Mhm.
general, how did you get into overall voice acting for, let's just say, Japanese voiceovers first, and then getting to stuff for video games, or that kind of come hand in hand? Like, what was necessarily your first experience doing it?
That was hand in hand. I came here. Well, I started out in Chicago
Yeah.
and studied acting there, and then I got into out of the real world and started trying to get work. I got some voice work there, but not very much. But that's how I started, dipped my toe into the pond, got a little bit of the work there, and then I came here and then tried to get as much work as I could, and it registered with the agencies, and just took whatever came my way,
Yeah.
and so it was like hand in hand, definitely hand in hand. There wasn't any trajectory
Yeah. Yeah.
of here I'll start here and I'll go there. That's not how it worked. It's just hand in hand. So whatever work came your way, and then it developed, and then you started to become, known by the agencies, and some of the
Mm.
clients remember the voice, and then you're called or you're referred to, referrals. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, it's
Work from
probably says on your website, but I'll just ask it here. So when did you first probably get involved with a talent agency, particularly in Japan, maybe?
the let's see. I came here in '91 as a musician. I
Yep.
was a touring in an orchestra from Chicago, and we did an Asian tour. And I landed in Tokyo and had an open ticket, and just said, I think I'll just explore a little bit
Just stay here for a
and
bit, take in the
stay in Japan.
lifestyle.
New experience. And so the orchestra returned to Chicago, and I stayed here and I started getting English teaching work, and
Mm.
just whatever I could get. But I, as always wanted to be an actor, so I looked for any acting opportunities, and then started to register with the agencies, and I
Yep.
made a little homemade demo tape, and that's how it all got started for me.
Yeah.
Just putting my throw my hat in the ring that way.
So what year did you
And
think that really started, or did you
for
really
me,
just be
at
confident?
middle '90s,
Okay.
maybe '94, around '94, when I sort of got myself sort of situated, and had some more freedom to take some time off work if there
Yeah.
was a job that eventually I got into university work, and then that was easier for me to have a little more flexibility
Yeah.
if these jobs popped up. So that's where I'm at now. So it's great. I have a pretty flexible schedule
Yeah.
with the university job.
I was
So
only I was mainly asking that, of course, because it's an interesting thing to know. Also because I'll probably ask this first, so I won't confuse you. When was the earliest year do you think you worked on a video game? It might be a hard question to ask, but
game. All right, let me just shift through my memory here.
I'm only asking
Um,
because I just want to see if there's anything that might be uncredited before a certain point.
okay, I'm gonna say late '90s is probably anything that's credited.
Yeah.
98, 98. I'd say go to 98 for the
Okay.
beginning.
Earliest that we know of is 2000.
Okay,
And
so yeah, I know
probably in development, we knew there were people were in the studio around 99 from other interviews. So
okay.
that was the original Shenmue game in which you're credited in, which was 2000 that released.
Yes, I know for sure that I have credit in the '90s. I think definitely it goes back to the '90s,
Hmm.
probably '98 or '99. I'll look at it. I don't know if I can bring it up now, but I'll pop it up, and then
Yeah.
I'll send you the credit, the link.
Yeah, all good because on that page in particular, I sent you before, the earliest works were from a game called Resident Evil Survivor, and
Oh yes, yes.
then it would have been Tekken 4.
The Tekken series.
Yep.
Yeah. Go to the Zoom meeting. Okay, here behind the voice actors. There we
Yes.
go. Behind the voice actors. So what again was your question?
So with Deadstorm Pirates, which was the first one.
Oh,
the
here we
first
have
link I sent you.
Rusty or Heath Gilbert.
Yes.
That's Mega Man. Wait. Deadstone Pirates.
Heath Gilbert, which was 2010.
Heath Gilbert.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. There's the picture.
Do you remember much from anything in the booth for that?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Long time ago. From this picture in Deadstorm Pirates, I think he would have been aggressive, an aggressive voice,
Yes.
and pirate-like yar, yar kind of thing like that.
You hit the point. Yeah, you hit the nail on the coffin. That's exactly
Yeah.
what it sounds like.
Like the pirate voice 101 kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. I think that's how I remember that. And look, the one below it. Can you see it? It's Master Mikhail.
Yes.
Mikhail. That one. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but Mega Man. But that was kind of extremely primitive studio situation. It was like it was like early days, and it was geez, this sounds real sort of cloudy and.
Yeah. I really can't end this without one of my friends will kill me without saying this. Do you remember anything working on Mega Man X7 in 2003?
Is that here?
Yes, if you scroll downwards.
Mega Man X7. What's the photo there on it?
It's a character called Sigma.
All right. How far down is it? Let me see.
Very, very far down.
Okay, Mega Man. I have ZX Advent. That's not right. Shining Force. Bloody Roar.
Yep, just on
Mega
the
Man
Transformers.
Soldier Stone King and Sigma. Yes. Okay, the Sigma guy was really very primitive. Like he had like a plate in his head.
Yeah.
He was, very inarticulate character. Pretty low voice.
Yeah.
And Soldier Stone Kong. Have you heard these voices? Are you familiar with these?
Unfortunately not. That was the one thing I was going to get onto. My friend is really really big into Mega Man, and he was freaking out that I had the opportunity to talk to you. I'm more from that like higher perspective from the newer roles that you've done and some other stuff. Okay. Yeah.
I do have some samples of Stone Kong, I believe, in Sigma. If I can maybe try and send you a link or something.
That would be perfect. It's been amazing being able to chat to you.
It really has. Thank you.
Yeah,
good to talk.
It's an honor that you even cared to take this long to sit with me and just have a chat.
Well, good to meet you, and let's talk again.
Yes,
definitely.
I'll try to work something out. We'll work something out in private.